Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Abernathy, and thanks so much for joining in what I feel is a much needed discussion. And this is kicking off a series about how to be an ally. And tonight we're talking about how to be an ally with the LGBTQ, and now I'm learning IA community, which we'll learn what that is in a minute, with author and writer Wesley Cullen Davidson. And she's joining us from Vero Beach, Florida. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. And well, Wesley, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm excited
Nice to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you here. Leslie, your book, I think you have it behind you, When Your Child is Gay. When did your book come out?
Came out in 2016, Jennifer.
2016, and wow, okay, so that's 4 years ago. And you have really been an advocate for the LGBTQ community, speaking to groups. You've been quoted in, people can see on your website, wesleycullendavidson.com, how many publications you've been in, and just have really been a great voice for the community. So I'm really glad to have you here tonight to help us navigate this for those of us that haven't been so closely involved in the community.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's start off. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on and have this discussion is you had written something about, was it 1 in 5 Gen Zers now identify as LGBTQA? And we need to also talk about what LGBTQIA is. So
I think we should talk about the term.
Should we start with that, actually?
Oh, yes, it might help.
Let's do that.
All right. Sometimes people don't know the difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. I can use myself as an example. Gender identity is how you see yourself. I am a female. I am what they call cisgender. In other words, I identify with what I was born as, and that is a female.
Okay.
My pronouns are she and her, because I identify again with what I was born with. My sexual orientation is who I'm attracted to, who I want to sleep with. Because I'm married and I'm heterosexual, I want to sleep with my husband. Mm-hmm. So that is my sexual orientation.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we see a lot of people here, and you might be watching this on other channels, where they put next to the name, like Jennifer Abernathy, and they'll put she, her, or they, or his. So this is good that you clarified that.
I'll go into that if you like.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other terms of how people identify, and I can go into them now. A small group of nearly 3 million people identify as asexual. That's about 1% of the population.
And what is asexual?
Asexual means they don't want to have sex. In fact, I watched a TED talk of a high school group, and the high school girl that was being interviewed said the thought of having sex was about as exciting as washing dishes.
Okay.
That's the way she felt.
Okay.
Asexuals sometimes refer to themselves as aces, ACE.
Okay.
And they can, they may have been born asexual. They may have become asexual because they were raped and don't want to have sex with anybody. They can be straight, they can be gay, they can be bi, they could be trans, or just questioning. But that is one.
And that asexual is the A for LGBTQIA. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it also could be ally. It depends how you're using it, the A at the end.
Okay.
Okay, allosexuals are people who are attracted to at least one gender. Bi-curious is the way it sounds. It's usually people who have sexual experiences with heterosexuals and also homosexuals.
Okay.
Um, Gynosexuals are people that are attracted to feminine genders. Monosexuals are people attracted to only one gender. Pansexuals are people that are attracted to all genders. Polysexual is people who are attracted to many genders. Then you have the category of queer. And queer can be,
Yeah, I never understood what the difference was. Queer or gay? Is that the same thing?
it can be, back when you had the Stonewall riots in 1969, the activists at that rebellion were identified as queer. It was kind of a grassroots organization.
Hmm.
It has taken on that meaning again of people who identify with a group of gay people. It's not necessarily a derogatory term.
They just
And
identify as,
then
okay.
yeah, there are people that also, the I stands for intersex, and those are people that are born with two genitalia, female and male. And in the old days, the doctor used to decide which sex to get rid of. I don't think nowadays they're able to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it gets pretty complicated.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, this is why we have you here, so we can understand what it
Right.
is.
If you'd like me to talk about transgenders now, because that they are a misunderstood group, there are about 1.5 million Americans who identify as transgender.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, this year, there have been more anti-trans bills introduced into the legislature than any other year in history. Trans murders have jumped 233% from last year.
Oh, that
And
is,
it's mostly people of color that are affected.
yeah, there was just a woman today that was killed, but she was Hispanic,
Yeah,
that I read about, and I just thought, oh my gosh, it's terrible.
it is terrible. And also, when you report deaths, you don't report gender identity with it. So the trans murders could be even higher than this 233% that I mentioned.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'll get into pronouns in a minute. Um, According to Williams Institute at UCLA, which is a think tank and conducts research about the LGBTQ population, uh, there are 150,000 youth ages 13 to 17 who are transgender. And that equates to about 2% of high school population is transgender.
Wow. Wow.
They are not the same as cross dressers. A lot of people think they are not.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
They could be, but not necessarily.
Okay.
RuPaul, who dresses up for the drag races and
Quite
all,
well, by the
is
way.
a
He does a,
cross dresser. He is gay. He's not transgender. So
hmm.
they're not the same.
Whereas Caitlyn Jenner said she used to wear clothes from time to time before she transitioned.
That's
She
right.
was the trans. She is transgender. Yeah, transgender.
Yeah, and what they do share in common is they have a condition called gender dysphoria, where they think they were born in the wrong body. They are very uncomfortable initially in their own skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You can be transgender and not have surgery. Bottom surgery, where you're changing your genitalia, is very expensive.
Mhm.
Top surgery also is expensive, and many people, particularly females, will use hormones to block puberty,
Mm.
with the doctor's uh, prescription, of course. And they bind their chests so they don't look like they are females.
Yeah, who's the big actress that just came out recently? She went from a she to a he.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Paige Elliott.
yes, yes.
Yes, or Elliot Page.
Elliot
Right,
Page,
she
yeah,
first identified as gay and now trans, and I believe she's on the cover of Time
on the
magazine.
cover of Time. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
transformation is incredible.
yeah. The Trevor Project, just to give you some figures of how rampant this is, which is a suicide hotline,
Mhm.
um, said that 59% of Black transgender and non-binary young people have seriously committed suicide.
Oh my.
And 45% have experienced homelessness. And
And you know that number is probably in the hundreds of thousands, I would think.
yes, and but on the good news, Biden has picked the Pennsylvania Secretary, Rachel Levine, who
Mhm.
is transgender, to be
Mhm.
his Assistant Secretary of Health. And Sarah McBride, who is 30, is the highest ranking openly trans lawmaker in US from the state of Delaware.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So it's
Uh,
putting that out there so people can see these are normal people, they're
that's right.
hardworking and professional.
Yeah, and 46 states have now elected candidates who are openly identify as LGBTQ.
Mhm.
There are still 20 states that have organized assaults, if you want to call it that, by conservative groups to stop, the bathroom bills, making it comfortable for transgenders to use the bathroom of their choice.
Mhm.
Also about sports. So
Yeah, there's a lot of
people
talk
that
about
have
that. Yeah.
transitioned cannot participate with after they've transitioned with people who have not. They think it's giving them a leading edge. Um,
It's interesting when I went to the University of Maryland, not this past summer, but summer before for a tournament. I noticed that the restrooms there, they did have, men, women, but they also had unisex. Or they had, no, you know what? They had, I don't even think it said unisex. It just said restroom.
yeah, they do that at the LGBT Center in New York too.
Okay. And I thought, okay, that's great,
Yeah,
for the
it
college.
is.
Yeah.
So there are some bills right now that are trying to be passed, as I mentioned. Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, and Arkansas are voting to make health care for trans kids a crime. The
Oh my
South
God.
Dakota governor, Christy Noem, I guess Noem, is trying to sign a bill banning trans kids from sports and requiring all young athletes to turn over genetic information to the state as
Oh
soon as
my
possible.
gosh.
So
Wow. That's in South Dakota.
that is in South Dakota. And I can give you an example of the pronouns if you'd like. Um, Transgenders like to be called by neutral pronouns because they believe that their old uh, pronouns, which are not neutral, reflects their dead state. So they want to, uh,
So what's an example of a neutral?
okay, a neutral one would be uh, ZE,
And how do you say
uh,
that? Z? Z?
Z, and
Z?
HIR,
Yeah.
Sometimes, even though it's a singular pronoun, they are referred to as they. So I'll give you an example. John is substituting for me today, and they are an incredible mathematician. Now, John is singular, but he's referring to himself as they.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So it simplifies gender in a way and takes it out of requiring the knowledge of the gender. It's making it neutral.
I'm noticing more and more when I go to fill out a form, it'll say male, female, or do you choose not to say, or something like that.
Yes, I've seen that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, which I think,
And in fact, in 14 states, including New York and District of Columbia, they're allowing a third gender option on driver's licenses now.
oh,
And
okay.
MasterCard is allowing a non-cisgender name. So if you know your old license has your name Wesley Davidson and you've changed it to something else, they will allow it.
I wonder how, I know this is kind of as an aside, but Elon Musk's new little boy whose name is X. You know, how they will, it's like X and then it has numbers and letters and
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I think as time goes on, we're gonna get more and more of this where people just don't want to. I'm starting to hear it with the younger people, the teens in the early 20s, where they say, I just love people. I'm not gonna say how I identify because I love everybody. And if I happen to
And I think, yeah, particularly the young are more accepting. I mean, there are teachers that, have lawsuits against them because they won't address the student who is transgender in the pronoun that the child wants and claiming religious freedom. I don't believe in transgender and it's my right not to call him what I want in my classroom. So
wow, so this is really a problem in schools, it sounds like.
it is. Um,
So we've got can we just like back up real quickly and go through the
yes, certainly.
LGBTQ? So the L is,
The L is lesbian.
okay,
Um,
and that's just women who love
yeah,
women.
lesbian who prefer women,
Okay.
although they could be bisexual too. There are more bisexual women. They found in this. Well, I'll talk. Do you want me to talk about the poll? The
Yeah.
Gallup poll. Okay, they found that in Generation Z, which is youth 18 to 23, 1 in 6 adults consider themselves LGBT.
Yeah,
So
I think that is a startling number.
it is. It is. And that's a jump of nearly 25% since 2017.
Wow.
The Gallup poll was done by phone. 15,000 people were interviewed.
Wow.
Um, but the breakdown, if you want to know, 6% identify as bi, 5% is gay, 7% is lesbian, 3% transgender, and 3% is queer. Now that doesn't add up to 100% because some of these people identified in more than one category.
Okay.
So
And explain to me again the difference between queer and gay.
uh, queer is a gay person could be queer, but it in the old days meant grassroots activists,
Okay. Oh, someone who, okay, they just live and breathe it.
like the Stonewall Rebellion.
Okay.
Um, but it's not a derogatory comment. Although it sounds like it could be. I mean,
Mhm.
queer could mean, strange, but it's not.
Okay.
And let's see. Those are the statistics I have. It seems like,
Good. Let's go over the, yeah, the LGBTQ again. So we've got,
okay,
let-
so lesbian, gay,
okay.
bisexual.
What is bisexual for those that don't?
Bisexual are people that have experiences with both heterosexuals and homosexuals.
Okay.
And
T, T is for
transgender.
transgender.
I is for intersex, and those are people that are born with both genitalia at birth.
Okay. Okay.
And Q could be questioning as well. We have Q for queer, but it could be questioning. And then A at the end, it could be allied depending on how you're using it, or it could be also asexual. So it just depends how it's being used in the context of a paragraph or what have you.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good because it's a lot to, it's for those of us that, aren't in the community trying to learn all this, plus,
I
there's
know.
so many things. Okay. So this is good. This is helpful. And I think that work, not only are schools now having to really be educated on all this, but also in the workplace. So are you available to go speak to organizations or even um, put yourself in there through video conference? To
Yes,
speak?
yes, I am. I've spoken to PFLAG, which is Parents for Lesbian and Gays.
Mhm.
And I've spoken to other organizations that have advice for straight parents from people who have already been there.
Yeah.
Straight parents who have already resolved these issues and are giving advice to other people.
There's probably a lot of parents that are newly discovering that their own children are gay, or maybe bisexual, or maybe even realizing that they might be trans. Where do you suggest they first start, aside from getting your book?
Um, I think when your child comes out to you,
Hmm.
they take the lead. And you have to believe what they're saying. They may change their sexual orientation later, but you don't want to try to talk them out of what they're telling you. You
Yeah.
can't say you couldn't possibly be gay. You're too young to know, or you just took Susie to the prom last week, so how could you be gay?
Right. Right.
Um, Chances are they've thought about this for a long time. They've probably practiced coming out to a friend or somebody before they came out to you.
Hmm.
It's a gutsy move on their part, and they don't want to be talked out of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you need to tell them, thank you for coming out. You
Yeah.
are divulging an important part of yourself, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, it took guts to do it, and we love you, and we will educate ourselves if we don't uh, know exactly how to respond to different issues.
Hmm.
You should ask your child who they have told.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Yes, because you don't want to come out for them. They may not want you to tell grandma yet,
Okay.
and or the school.
Okay. I
And
was gonna ask
you,
about
you
that.
don't want to out them. It's their story. Um, and
Okay.
you
That's
know, you need to listen to them so that it's not a one-time talk.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
keeps going on, and you want them to feel comfortable, so they will come to you
You
and
hear
have
a lot of
that.
adults when they interview them on TV that are gay or trans or whatever, and they'll say, "When did you know?" And some of them will say as young as 6 or 7.
I think
Or 8.
I think kids are coming out younger and younger and having
Yeah.
sex younger and younger.
Hmm.
And I think most boys I've read know at age 10 typically, and also, girls may know at age 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
So
Well, this is good. This is good. Yeah, I think for parents to have resources, and also I think you were mentioning your book is also a good book for these, let's say, teens or even young adults to give to their parents. Correct?
yes, because chances are they may think that their parents won't understand. Um, what parents don't have role models like this. They
Right.
did
Right.
not grow up in families where people were open and uh, if they knew somebody that was gay, the person was probably closeted. So
Mhm.
without role models, uh, this is why they need P flags or books or talking to people who've been there, because they shouldn't be expected to know how to deal with issues. And my book tells stories. It's divided by issues that parents face. The biggest
Mhm.
one is denial.
Mhm.
Um, has stories of parents who have worked through denial and how they did it, and also has stories of the children
Okay. Yeah.
who may have had denial initially. So if the child gives a book such as mine to the parent, it's educating the parent.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, they're almost running a parallel journey. It's just that the child has done it before the parent has.
Yeah. Right. And I'm wondering how many cases that the parents might have a little bit of a clue, but aren't quite
They
sure.
might,
Yeah.
they might, but it could be based on stereotypes.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
be, you know, you just don't know.
Yeah. You just don't
You
know.
may have an inkling, but you know,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
it's hard to really know. The only person that knows is a child.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. No, that's good. Are they doing the gender identity and the operations are, and we know with where they have to give them the hormones and everything. Are they doing that younger and younger these days, or is there a certain age that they start that?
I think it's done by state. I interviewed a transgender from female to male,
Hmm.
and he had to wait till he was over 16 to see a doctor to get hormones.
Wow.
And that was in the state of Pennsylvania. I would think it would vary from state to state, but
Seems to me now, I mean, the older I get, I'm finally realizing you almost have to really be alert to the state that you're living in terms of how their rules in over history have tend or how the laws have had to go tended
yeah,
to go, right?
yes.
So, what is it? One of the more liberal states would be Maine. Is it
Uh,
Maine? Was it Maine the first one that had gay marriage and all that?
no, well, they had gay marriage for a while. Then Proposition 8 came up, but it was legalized in every state in 2015.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Iowa had it, Colorado, California had it for a while, and then it was taken away. It was put on the ballot, taken away, and then given back, and so
Okay. Interesting. So that's why voting is so important.
that's right.
Wow. Where do you see things going? I mean, I'm feeling like things are going to a place where, again, these younger people are setting the tone. They're coming out and making it a lot more comfortable to talk about this and address it in the workplace, in schools, um, in sports.
Yeah,
Having to have these conversations now.
I think so too. And with this Equality Act, I just saw today two middle school kids talking in front of the Senate, telling them why they need to pass the
Middle school.
equality. Yeah.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
great.
And there was a father the other day who he was a minister's son, and he was talking about how just a change of clothing for his daughter brought a smile to her face. Before that, she was wearing, typical feminine, and she was absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
She never smiled. She was withdrawn, and just a change of clothing.
Isn't that amazing? Wow.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Well, see, it's good. We're having these conversations now so people get more and more comfortable with it and
right.
knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
And that these are just people.
That's
They're just people and they're discovering who they are on the inside as well as the outside.
And I think the youth of today is more accepting. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still harassment in the schools,
Hmm.
middle school, high school, but according to Gleason, which is the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, which has a support system in schools so that you can learn safely. You don't have to be harassed. They have pamphlets.
Hmm.
They do climate surveys. They are trying to make it better for kids because they have found that sometimes LGBT kids miss as much as one day a month of school if they think they're going to be harassed. And
Oh,
the
wow.
other problem is a lot of the teachers and guidance counselors aren't with the children when they're being harassed. They're not in the bathrooms with the kids. They're not in the hallway with the kids or outside the school. So a lot of times they really don't know what's going
I
on.
don't know what's going on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What about universities? Are they coming around in terms of accepting the kids?
Yes, I think it's much easier. I think kids feel freer on the campuses.
Mhm.
And I think it's kind of been a back step for these kids. They're free on the campus and they've had to move home, do virtual living, and they're with their parents and they may not be out to their parents. So
Oh
they're
god.
closeted at home and back in school where they're free.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you take it to the workplace. I feel like workplaces are still, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, but from what I'm hearing from, I know my kids' work experience is that the employers are very open about having a very inclusive environment.
I think they are more so.
Yeah.
And of course, they're trying to pass this equality law which goes beyond the Civil Rights Act in 1964. The Civil Rights Act said that you could not discriminate on the basis of sex in the workplace. This
Mhm.
goes beyond that definition and says you cannot discriminate about sexual orientation or gender
Mm.
in restaurants, on public transportation, in the workplace, in housing.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. I'm not sure if it's going to pass in the Senate because of the religious freedom exemptions,
Oh,
but we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Because I do know, even my daughter was telling me, who's 25, she has some friends who are trans couples, and they've had a really hard time finding living arrangements.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm like, wow, in 2021, it's hard to believe, but
Yes, yes. Mhm.
wow. Well, if people wanted to hire you to talk to even like their HR team or lead a community-based discussion, where should we tell them to go?
I would go to my email,
Okay, which
which
is
is WC as in Charles, D as in David, WRITE at AOL.com,
okay.
and
And,
put the subject line requests for speaking engagement or something like that.
or
So
they could find you on LinkedIn under Wesley Davidson, right? Or do you Wesley
or is
Company?
it might be under Wesley C. Davidson. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look it up right now,
Okay.
real quick, since I want to get it right. And then you also have a Facebook group, correct? For
Yes, I do. Do you want me to?
yeah, if you want to tell them, is it When Your Child is Gay?
The Facebook group is When Your Child is Gay.
Yep.
I also have a Facebook group, which was recently started, called Kids on Drugs,
Mm-hmm.
Signs, Risks, and How to Get Help.
Yeah,
And
because your next area of focus is addiction, correct?
that's right, that's on addiction, but it also, the LGBTQ population has a high incident of drug use.
Yeah.
So the two subjects
Kind of
kind
going.
of correlate.
I just looked it up on LinkedIn. You are under Wesley Cullen Davidson.
Okay,
Okay, and then it says author right after that.
okay.
So
And my website is Wesley Cullen Davidson, and that does include my blog, which is Straight Parent Gay Kid blogspot.com.
yeah, I love it. And Cullen is Cullen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
which I love that name. I think that would be a great first name for someone, Cullen.
Well, I have a cousin whose daughter's first name is Cullen.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it a family? Did she get it from?
It is. That's my maiden name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great name. Yeah, it's a great name.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't know, any parting thoughts? I think we've gotten a lot of good, just really good, solid, basic
Well,
info.
I don't know how much time we have, but I think it's important that parents, for their child, if the child wants a therapist, for example,
Oh,
if the
yeah.
child's depressed about being harassed at school or what have you, these are some places where a parent could turn to help the child.
Oh, this would be good. Okay.
Okay. There is an organization, an association of gay and lesbian psychiatrists,
Mm-hmm.
and that website is www.aglp.org. And as a matter of fact, that's how I found my co-author of the book. I put an ad on that organization.
Okay.
If there is a university nearby where parent-child lives, there might be a clinic there where
Mm,
they can find a sympathetic, you want a sympathetic doctor, because there's no point
yeah.
in filling out a healthcare history and not saying that you are gay or lesbian or trans, because you won't get the health care you need.
Yeah.
There is a magazine called Out, OUT, which is mostly for the gay population, which has ads in it. You could find support there. There's another magazine called Curves, which is for lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned PFLAG, PFLAG.
What does that stand for? P flag?
Parents for Lesbian and Gays. They also have a group for transgenders.
Okay.
They have chapters throughout the United States, so you can look them up.
Okay.
Also, psychologytoday.com has
Mm-hmm.
psychologists, psychiatrists, as well as social workers. But you need to kind of grill a doctor and find out if they have experience caring for LGBTQ parents. For example, do they have experience with hormones, gender affirming surgery?
Mm-hmm.
Lesbians seem to have a higher risk of breast cancer. I'm not sure why. Maybe because they don't have children and haven't nursed them. I don't know, but they also have a greater incident of alcohol, smoking, and obesity. So it would be good for a lesbian to get a doctor who understands that. And
Yeah,
a lot of the doctors in medical school are not trained in these areas, so you really need to do your homework to find out.
a modern day education for doctors. I mean,
That's right.
they need to be
That's
up on that.
right.
You
Yeah.
know? Okay. Okay, those are some great resources there. Yeah, that's good. Um, well, good. Any other parting thoughts?
Well, and if you want to know how to go about stopping bullying in school, one thing a parent can do is, first of all, role play.
Mhm.
Pretend you're the bully and your son is the um, victim. You can role play, you can reverse it where you are the victim and your child is the bully. So,
Mhm.
you get used to how you're going to respond to the
Okay.
bullying. The other thing you can do is every time your child is bullied in school, that you document it, the time, the date, the outcome. And because you will need this if you ever have to file a complaint.
Okay, yeah. How many
And
times, when, where, or if the teachers leave or the principal leaves, right?
right.
Go.
And the other thing is, you also with cyberbullying, which takes place a lot,
Yeah.
24/7, the last thing you want your child to do is to respond to the cyberbullying, and the parent should never call the parent of the bully in that case, because it only aggravates it. It increases.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you have to
just
be careful and also document that because you may have to get the police involved.
I just learned today that, and today for anyone that's watching this at another time, where are we? We're in March 2021.
Right.
That Facebook is looking to start a new social media site like Instagram, but for kids 13 and under. Now, I think this is a bad idea
Yeah, it could be.
for bullying,
Yeah,
etc. You know,
exactly.
all you
Yeah,
need is a bunch of kids going to that kid's page and writing all kinds of things on there that's going to make the kid feel terrible.
right. And also you have to be so careful now because of pedophiles. You have
Yeah.
to be careful about, uh, there was a case last month of Dr. Laura Berman, who's
Hmm.
a she's an intimacy host. She's quite famous in California. Her son got on Snapchat and was able to order drugs with a price list, thinking he was getting Xanax. It was delivered to his door, and it was laced with fentanyl. And he was a good kid. I mean, he was an honor student, and he was home because he couldn't go to school with COVID. He didn't have COVID, but the school was, everybody was learning virtually, and he instantly died. And it was her only son, and she's been on various television programs talking about the dire effect. And who would think, you're on Snapchat, which
I would
used
have
to
thought,
be for texting. People would text and then the text would disappear.
yeah.
And now it's being used, by drug dealers to try to get people hooked.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
Yeah. No, this is just, yeah. It's a scary time,
it
and
is.
we have to really really watch over the kids. You know. Wow. Well, this is great. And I think, I mean, your information is highly needed within organizations, within schools, within communities, and also just, you know, helping families.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much. Oh, and, you
You're
know,
welcome.
for being here and doing this
Thank
today. So
you.
we'll
I
be sure to share.
enjoyed it. Thank
So
you.
it's Wesley Cullen Davidson, and
Yeah.
it's Wesley, and then Cullen with a C, Cullen, and then Davidson, just like it sounds, .com.
Right.
You can find everything there. or connect with her on LinkedIn. And what's next for you? What's around the corner for 2021, 2022?
I am gathering information, possibly doing an addiction book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blogging, as I say, straight parent, gay kid,
You,
when
did- you,
the
you,
child is addicted.com.
you did an important blog today about the Pope.
I did.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
The Pope.
Pope last week, through the Vatican office, condemned the blessing of same-sex unions.
Mm,
And of course, it has the Catholic LGBT population upset.
of course.
And this is the same, I'll quote here, this is the same Pope Francis who said in 2013, it's a total turnaround. He said, wait, I'll find the quote. Gay people should not be marginalized, but integrated into society. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, I was really surprised about that turnaround.
Yeah,
It didn't sound like him.
no, it didn't. He's known to be a fairly liberal pope.
Right.
So, but this is the dictates of the Vatican and so forth. So,
Wow.
um, you
So
know, I think it's gonna there's gonna be a fallout from the religion.
I
And
believe.
one thing I could mention is if Catholic parents have a problem with the Pope's dictate, there is an organization for every single religion that supports it. The one for Catholicism is called Dignity.
Dignity. Okay.
Yeah, it is a support group that helps parents resolve conflicts within their religion.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe that will help. And
Good. Well, I know that was a big shocker when that came out. Just
yeah,
last
I
week or
found
so.
it
Yeah.
shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. In this day and age, I just thought, oh my gosh, that was a big flip.
Yes.
From the Pope. Okay. All right. Well, this is good. Well, I hope that we've answered some questions. I know you certainly have for me. And, I'd love to have you back to talk more about this. And because I think this topic is just going to keep growing more expansive.
I agree with you. And as I said,
Yeah.
kids are coming out younger and younger, and
Mm-hmm.
they also, they're, more sexual at a younger age. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I was reading somewhere and they were saying there's a lot of kids, in middle school that are coming out.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I was like, wow.
I mean, it used to be high school, or you waited till you left high school.
Right. Right. Yeah. High school was even unusual.
Yeah.
Right. Until recently. And now it's middle school, so.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, we will end it right here.
okay.
And thanks so much for being here. And we'll
My
look forward to
pleasure.
having you back.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Wesley.
Bye-bye,
Okay.
Jennifer.